So thanks for coming on the show again and letting us all know that we are capable of much, much more if we just step up and push a little bit harder. Been awesome having you back on, man.
It's been awesome being here. I mean, again, I'm glad I could come up with the material.
Yeah, man.
I was like, once you said you invited me back, I was like, I got to start writing some stuff.
No, you don't have to write anything, man. We can just come on and talk. Echo, you got any questions for the man?
Yeah. Was there any time, like, during the 31 marathons that you were like, oh, this is kind of lame? I'm kind of off this now. Were you ever did you ever think that? I mean, not even necessarily that you were, like, tired physically or nothing, just kind of like, you know, this kind of.
That's interesting because I definitely got tired of doing the interviews.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But the thing with that is the interviews, you know, I wasn't doing this to get a bunch of, you know, people telling me I'm awesome, you know, or anything. But the interviews, so doing the marathons without the interviews would be pointless because the story wouldn't get out there without doing the interviews. But doing the interviews without the story, without doing the marathons is also pointless.
Right.
And it kind of got. The funny thing is, I did this because it was going to be hard. I did this because it was going to be really difficult.
Yeah.
And I knew that going in, and that's the whole purpose of it, was to do something that was hard. And then, you know, the last 4 days and in Houston and stuff, when it started to get hard, I was like, it's bullshit. Why is this so hard?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was saying before, there was never a point where I was like, there's no way I can do this or anything like that. I was like, as long as I don't get severely injured by a mistake, don't get hit by a car, or break a bone or something, then I'm gonna be able to do this.
Yeah,
gonna get her done.
Yeah, I feel like every once in a while when I do something that takes a long time, like months or something like that, I get to a point every once in a while where I'm like, what am I doing here? Like,
yeah, it definitely gets. I mean, it gets repetitive for sure.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yes. Yeah.
Wake up, run the marathon.
You don't listen to music. You don't listen to. Do you listen to podcasts? Do you listen to music?
I didn't really on the month of marathons, except a few times because
you had people with you talking.
I had people with me, and
you weren't just gonna be like, "Hey, I'm listening to a podcast. Leave me alone."
Yeah, well, sometimes I did do that. To be honest with you, there were times I did do that.
Hey,
sometimes
that Wednesday morning, that Jocko Podcast dropped. You're like, hey,
yeah.
You're hoping for a long one. One of the few people that was hoping for a 4-hour podcast to get you through.
Wait. I felt kind of bad in the last 4 because I told you my back was hurting so much, and I was like, every time I landed on that right foot, it would be severe pain, and then it would kind of make me like kind of gasp a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And so I felt really bad because there's a lot of people that were. They came out to run with me, and they were like talking to me and trying to help me keep going, but I just was not in the mood for talking, and I felt terrible because they'd be like asking me questions. I'd be like giving them the one word, like, oh, but what's your favorite place or whatever. I'm like, oh, I don't know. They're like, yeah, and so I wish I could have handled that part a little bit better, and let those people, talk to those people a little bit better. I'm sure they understand.
Yeah.
Why? And I kind of said it before. And I was like, listen, everybody, if I'm not talkative, it's because I have this back injury. And
it's not because I don't like you personally.
It's not because I hate you.
Yeah.
But, so it's that. But, when it got hard, I fell back on my mission. And that's what I was doing it for. Whether or not I was hurting or didn't feel like doing it. Was not as important as the
doesn't
mission.
have anything to do with anything, really, does it?
Yeah. Just not bearing.
Can I ask you? I want to ask your opinion on something because I came up with a theory, and it's not totally thought out yet.
Mm-hmm. Like my theory,
and this theory might actually get me killed. So please, Echo,
of course,
defend me. I think that there may be something that's more powerful than discipline, and what. Anybody that's listening, Jocko reached for the knife. and maybe it's just that they're kind of go hand in hand, but I think the one thing that may be as powerful or maybe even more powerful than discipline is selflessness. And so the reason I say that is because I don't know, maybe the discipline leads to the ability to perform the selfless acts, but it seems to me like all the discipline in the world might not allow you to do something like lift a car off of your child, or dive on a grenade.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you're actually 100% right. I don't think that's a theory. I think that, when you take guys in combat, when guys are in combat and guys do incredible things and sacrifice their lives for their brothers, that is not about discipline. And, they're doing that because they're selfless and they want to take care of their friends. That's what they're doing it for.
Yeah.
And there can be people that are, undisciplined individuals that perform incredibly heroic things in combat. So no, I think that's actually correct. I mean, I think that's a
Cool.
extremely powerful force, and that may be that. And I was thinking about, the power of that. Where I thought you were going to say, what I thought you were going to talk about it was, you weren't doing this for yourself.
Right.
You weren't doing this for yourself. You were doing this to get a message out there, that you were doing this to raise money for others, for your friends, for your brothers. That is a more powerful thing than, hey, I'm just a self-disciplined person.
Right.
Now, discipline is like it's like they're in different. It's not apples to apples.
Yeah,
I don't think it's not like this is more powerful than that. No, because I'll tell you that if you want to perform well, if you want to achieve things, like you wouldn't be able to do this for these causes if you didn't have the discipline to train hard, to eat right, to get on the path, to stay on the path. You wouldn't have been able to do this, even though you really wanted to, even though you really, really wanted to, you really, really wanted to care about your brothers, you really, really wanted to raise money for those funds. If you didn't have the discipline to make it happen and train yourself and be ready, that you wouldn't have been able to deliver that. Just like a guy on the battlefield, they're on the battlefield because they were able to perform, they were able to have the discipline to get to that point. But they're two. I'd say they're related. I don't think they're definitely not opposing each other.
Right, yeah.
And in fact, I think that if I was to tell you, when I was in the SEAL teams, what the actual driving force behind the discipline that I tried to have myself wasn't for me. It was like, I want to be able to perform well on the battlefield, not because I want to perform well, but because I want to make sure I don't let my brothers down.
Yeah.
So I would say it's actually like a force that's a foundational force. It's like people that are heavily religious. Their discipline relies on their religious faith. People that are overachievers that want to accomplish something, their discipline is based on the fact that they want to get that achievement. So the discipline by itself, there has to be something that the discipline, there has to be a foundation that's built upon. And I think a lot of times people build their foundation of discipline. The foundation that their discipline is built on is actually the fact that they want to take care of their friends. They want to be able to take care of their brothers. They want to take care of their family. You get all kinds of, you take a single mom that's working 3 jobs right now. Well, has to be highly disciplined. She has to be highly disciplined. She's got to get up every morning at 3:00 to get to the diner in time to start waiting tables. She's doing that. She has that discipline, not based on the fact that she wants to be stronger for herself. She's doing that so she can feed her kids. She's doing that selflessly so that she can feed her kids.
Yeah.
So no, I mean that's absolutely true, and I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Supporting. And I think the best way, the way to get the most out of yourself is to figure out a way to make it about something that you care about more than yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that discipline is a manifestation of selflessness in many ways. It's a way that you're, like I said, a single mom that's working 3 jobs. Look, let's face it. She doesn't want to work any of those 3 jobs.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to work any of those 3 jobs, but she's doing it. She's doing it every day, day in, day out. Why is she doing that? Why is she just showing that discipline and manifesting that discipline?
Yeah.
It's because she cares about her kids more than she cares about herself.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it. And you could go to the battlefield and say the same thing. Why do Marines train so hard?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do we train hard in the SEAL
yeah.
teams? Why are we doing that? Are we doing that for ourselves? Are we imposing that discipline on ourselves? Are we having the self-discipline because we want to be good for ourselves? No, it's because we want to be able to take care of our friends. We want to be able to take care of our brothers. And you could go across the board with any of that. So I totally agree with you.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that I'm still alive now.
Check.
But could they at any point come into conflict with each other where you got to choose to remain disciplined or serve others?
I don't see how they would come in conflict with each other. And if they did come in conflict, I think you make a rational decision.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Like, I mean, hey, am I gonna sneak my workout in? Like, what's more important to me, working out or going on a mission with my friends? Right.
Or your, I don't know, daughter's piano recital that they want you to be at, but you gotta, it's at a certain time. You gotta choose.
Choose between what and what?
Being disciplined with the workout that day.
Okay.
Or making the recital. See what I'm
Right.
saying?
I mean, obviously you want to make the recital, but if the choice was between making the recital and you have to go to your job and work, well, if you don't go to your job and work, guess what? Now you don't have money to pay for your piano lessons in the first place.
Yeah. No,
so you better think about that.
That's all I'm saying.
Better impose that discipline.
Is there a situation where discipline and selflessness will come into conflict? I'm just saying. Usually they support each other for sure. I think you're right. But is there a circumstance?
Yes,
is what I'm saying.
there is. You could actually focus on yourself and be like, hey, it's more important for me to take care of me than it is for me to take care of my team. And that's not going to go over well with the team. And you may end up being, a highly disciplined individual, but you have no outlet for it because you have no one to take care of except for yourself.
And in that situation,
like you see, like what's the I haven't watched the movie, but I know exactly. No, I'm serious. I haven't watched the movie. It's American Psycho, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, I haven't watched the movie, but I know exactly what the story is. The guy is like super highly disciplined, right?
Yeah.
Isn't he like the way he does everything highly disciplined?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But at the same time, obviously he's a psycho and he's not supporting anyone but himself.
Sure.
So that's like an extreme version of someone that cares about themselves.
Right.
And sure, they're highly disciplined, but being highly disciplined doesn't make you a good person.
Yeah, it doesn't automatically make you selfless.
No,
Well,
it doesn't make you selfless, and it certainly doesn't make you a good person either.
Yeah.
And you could certainly get into a situation where you get people that are
bank robbers.
No, I was
highly disciplined bank robber.
I wasn't thinking bank robbers, but you think, the people that are so into working out that trumps their family and everything trumps everything.
Yeah.
And they have an issue, right? Mm-hmm. They're so into it that they sacrifice. Yeah. Not even sacrifice. They just don't care.
Yeah.
It's when you meet someone that's so into working out that's a very selfish thing, right? Working out is a selfish thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, there's part of it that's selfless because you're working out so that you can stay healthy, so that you can take care of your family, you can take care of your friends, like we just talked about.
Capable.
But you can take that to a point, so you're capable of surviving and taking care of your friends and your family. But you can easily get to a point where, hey, the most important thing is me.
Yeah, my pull-ups.
The most important thing is me and
my numbers.
Yeah, my numbers. And you know what? I was danger close to this with jiu-jitsu because for a while I was I'd come home at night and my wife would be like, I was still in the teams.
Yeah.
And I was a task unit commander. Like that was the most important thing in my life. But I would still come home at night at 7:30 at night or 8 o'clock at night, and I'd grab my gym bag and I'd go train jiu-jitsu. And my wife would be like, "What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?" And that was borderline, right? That was borderline. But for me, it was like, hey, this is a skill set that I should have when I'm on the battlefield, so I can take care of myself and take care of my friends. And by the way, that means I have a 1.001% chance that I'm going to come home instead of not come home. So I'm going to do it. And that right there, that's probably a little bit of rationalization because selfishly, I really love training jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So there's a selfishness there, and I just tried to rationalize a little bit, and that's actually another thing we talked about in the first podcast with you is rationalization and how you got to be careful of that. You got to be careful of rationalizing everything.
Yeah. So
those are things that definitely can become problematic that's why there's a dichotomy. That's why there's a dichotomy in everything, because you can go overboard with any any personality trait you can go too far with.
Yeah.
And you can definitely go. That's why discipline and freedom, it's actually a balance. Even though discipline equals freedom, but guess what? If you have pure discipline, if you remove all freedom, well then what did you just do?
Enslave yourself.
Yeah, you enslaved. So there's balance. There's balance in discipline. There has to be balance in discipline. I think the reason that it strikes people to talk about discipline equals freedom is because most people don't make that connection. And most people lean so far towards just freedom of doing whatever they want that they end up enslaved from a different direction.
Yeah.
Which is equally, if not more problematic. And I say more problematic because now you end up in a situation where you're enslaved by something that's not good, that's not healthy, that's not positive. Whereas at least with discipline, if you're imposing the discipline on yourself, self-discipline, well then you're imposing things on you that are at least positive long-term. At a minimum, they're positive long-term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, can you go overboard with that? Yes. There's people that have eating disorders, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's people that have eating disorders. They impose such strict discipline that they're unhealthy, and that's bad and that's horrible. You know, I've heard back from some people that said, hey, you know, I have trouble with eating disorders. You know, it's generally been females who have more trouble with that category, and they actually have to use the discipline to say the correct discipline thing to do is to eat more, is to eat the proper amount of calories, because it's a horrible, horrible thing if you see people going through that, and it's a fatal disease, right?
Yeah.
It's a fatal disease. And so again, to your point, you can become so disciplined that it's negative.
Yeah.
It's negative on your personal health. It's negative on your, you can work yourself. You can work yourself so hard. You can say, oh, I'm going to be disciplined at work. And now you lose the balance, and you stop working out, and you stop training, and you start eating donuts. And you start eating donuts not before you run a marathon, but before you sit down in front of your computer.
Yeah. So
there absolutely has to be balance. But factually, the tendency is I'm gonna be less disciplined, and I'm gonna do things that are easy. I'm gonna be in the easy path, and that leads to that's the 80%, 90%. I don't know what percent, but that is a vast majority of people. Vast majority of people don't need less discipline in their lives. They need more discipline. That's the vast majority of people, myself included, need more discipline, not less.
Yeah.
And it's almost about what you're being disciplined towards. So like in the situation you bring up with the recital, you have the competing thing. So maybe it actually takes more discipline to forego your workout and realize what's more important.
Bigger picture
Forego the
discipline
workout.
kind of thing.
People will say to me, like on Twitter, they'll say, if you have real discipline, why don't you have the discipline to sleep in tomorrow? To get out of your comfort zone and sleep in.
Oh yeah, that's a different thing. But yeah, so you'd have to look at the bigger. Is there a bigger discipline then, right? Because you gotta consider your goals and stuff like that. You can't have the discipline to sleep in if that doesn't benefit your goal. It's not even discipline.
Yeah. And like the person that's struggling with the eating disorder, they're disciplined. At first, they were disciplined to lose weight.
Right.
Yeah.
They need to change that discipline to be healthy.
Right. Consider the goal. Yeah. Exactly.
The goal needs to be
change
health.
the goal.
Yeah.
What a scary thing.
Yeah.
What a scary thing. You look in the mirror and you think you're overweight, and you're not.
Some guys get that the opposite.
For sure.
Body
dysmorphia?
Dysmorphia, yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. So you can have it like, you think you always think you're fat, but you're really skinny. And then the other way is like you always think you're skinny, so you need bigger muscles, so
So you get on the juice.
Yeah, or whatever.
The asteroids.
And that's actually why we're here today at Echo. Me and Jocko, we talked about this earlier.
Too much krill oil.
You have big enough muscles.
Yeah. Thanks.
Your muscles are big enough.
Thanks, Rob Jones. This guy, so supportive, man. So supportive.
You should have seen him before he started cutting weight. Check.